I like to try to plan these out and sketch out my concept as I go along on this. And with this, I know I can't do everything exactly like some of the pumps that I've looked at online, like with the rounded corners and things like that. So I'm going to redesign it the best way I would be able to build it and try to make that work that way. Some of the elements that I want to make in this is that it's going to sit out on the deck. It needs to be fairly watertight. It needs to have a opening front door that you can open. I want to be able to put a spare propane bottle in the bottom of it, and this is a great idea because I think this will help hold it secure when it's sitting on the deck. I also want to look at putting a Bluetooth stereo in it too, so that you can enjoy some tunes while you're out there barbecuing. That should give me a basic idea of what I'm looking for, and I think I can work with this. Now I just need to figure out my dimensions and how I can put it together with the equipment that I have. Now I am not a sheet metal smith, so this is going to be kind of a, well, we'll learn as we go along, and we'll see how we can make this work. I'm sure there are more professional ways to do it and easier ways, but this is going to be the DIY Gene way. Excuse me, kitties. I picked up a 24-inch coil of metal trim. It's aluminum metal trim from a local supplier. I'm going to use this to build the cabinet. Excuse me, kitty. It's a 50-foot long roll, so I think I've got enough that if I screw up, and I most likely will, that I'll still have plenty of material to work from. Now this metal is fairly thin, so I'm hoping by putting plenty of breaks and bends in the material, it will help to make the cabinet strong. It also comes pre-painted white, so that's going to also, I think, help a lot with this. One thing I found too is when you're cutting metal, do not take your snips to the very end or you'll put a small dent in it. You just do a partial cut and keep it moving that way. Now I'm using an Ironton 30-inch metal brake that Northern Tool and Equipment sent me. I'm going to try it out on this. It's a very simple brake. It's inexpensive, and I really like this basic concept because, well, it's small enough that I can store it somewhere, because most metal brakes take a lot of room. Now it doesn't come with the C-clamps. You're going to have to pick up a few for this. You really should only need 2 C-clamps. I picked up a third just in case. Now I'm going to take a couple of clamps and just clamp down the sides to see if that'll hold it well enough. I'm hoping that's enough to kind of hold it good and solid. Bend this up on a 90, just like that. Okay, check this out now. This gives you a good, firm, rigid piece. I'm thinking that I'm going to put some plywood inside the cabinet, so I've got something to secure all the shelves to, and it'll also help to make the total cabinet rigid. The metal on this is a little thin, and I think it'll definitely make it stronger. So I'm going to cut a few pieces. I have some scrap plywood material from a project I tore apart. Got a couple pieces of 1x scrap that I can put on the insides of these that'll also help toughen up the front piece where the door will fit. So I'm going to go outside, cut these to shape, and then assemble and get a coat of paint on them. Okay. Okay, I'm going to glue this trim board on to each end of these boards. I'm going to take this outside and put a quick coat of just latex on it so it's got something to help seal it and give it a little lighter color when you're opening and getting things in and out of the cabinet. Now, I've got all the pieces bent up for the cabinet itself, not the top and the bottom though, and I cut some wood panels. So I'm going to try putting one of these together. I'm going to use one of the sides. If I take one of these panels now and slide it in here. Now I thought about using some contact cement construction adhesive on the back side of this to help it adhere to the metal panels, but be honest with you, I'm a little afraid of doing that I may create something that's even harder to just slide in like that. So I'm gonna say no on it, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Let me know what you think. And this should be able to set right down in there, and then this walk down. And now, I'm going to flip this over for you so you can see what I'm talking about. And that's, you can slide this one on. What I want to make sure you do is go over the top with this. This will end up being the top, so that means if it rains, the water runs off of this and not into that. So that's not too bad. It gets it far. I'm going to go ahead and get the top one placed on, and then we'll flip it over and do the same thing to the other side. Okay, let's match this up down on this one here. So now I can take and put a few screws or nails down here and start tightening it up. Now I need to set the back down in. Okay, so I'm tooling along with this. I'm really happy with how it's coming along. And then I find my first mistake. Remember how I mentioned I wanted to make sure it could handle a propane tank in there? Well, just out of curiosity, I thought, well, let's try it out. When I made the sides of this 2 inches on each side, I made it to where it literally is a 1/4 inch too tight to get the tank in. So now I got to figure out how do I make that repair without tearing this thing to pieces and then making it look like total garbage on top of that. It's going to be my best possible repair, and that is for me to come down here and trim out about a 1/2 inch so that I can get that door in, and then make sure that my door that goes in here still covers it. It's gonna work. Now this, on the outside, okay, well, it's not perfect, but it's going to keep me going, and I just got to make sure that I build the front cover that'll cover this and now allow for the bottle to slide in freely. Here's hoping that worked. This is going to set underneath the gas pump and give it a little extra stability around, and then we'll wrap this in the aluminum as well. I'm going to start to build the top trim. Now, by building this, I want like a 1 inch by 1 inch with a 45-degree angle of about 3 inches of metal. This is going to help to give it a nice kind of a Art Deco style trim to the top of it. So now I've bent this fascia piece. I plan on setting that up here. I'm going to need to do 2 pieces, 13 inches, just like this. So I drew this out, I just traced it off, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to secure these 2 2x4s down to the top. I think that's going to work really well. I really want to start painting, and I know it sounds like I'm getting ahead of myself, but I think it is going to help me get ahead of the game a little bit. I'm going to be using Croylon's Color Max, and it's an acrylic latex, but it says it's good on metal. So I'm going to try that out because I like the idea of having a water cleanup on it. And we'll see how many coats it's going to take. I'm going to use a thin roller with a short nap on it and see if I can smooth that out enough to give us a nice finish on it. I might quickly put a wrap on this exposed board here, and then I'm going to start painting. I'm going to take a Scotch pad and just rough this up real quickly. So I'm going to use a little bit of lacquer thinner on this, mainly to wipe off any of the oil that might be on it from the nail gun that I was using. I'm going to go get a brush and roller ready, and we'll start throwing some paint on this. Now that I've got the bulk of the cabinet painted and some of the other pieces done, I also painted the base that I wrapped in metal black. So I want to go ahead and mount the cabinet on top of this just to help secure it and see what I need for sizing up the door on that. This gives me a good solid base, and I've set it at flush to the back side of this. That should help a lot. I'm going to need to put a block in here that I think from the top needs to come down at least 3 inches. Okay, I am going to set this down into the slot. That should help me to be able to install this directly above and for the light to come from that with the ring. That should work just perfect. Now I'm ready to start making the front doors of this. This is one of the final big parts. Then I start on the gas pump handle and some of those other things. So on this, I'm going to make the doors 14 inches wide by 52.5 inches tall. I may play with that a little bit depending on how well I want it to fit, but I'm going to start on it now. I'm going to move to the next piece. I ordered off of eBay this decal. Now I'm going to keep the decal kind of low because I think I'm going to have a couple speakers sitting up above it. Okay, I'm going to do it right here. So the easiest way to put a decal down and make it look really smooth is to do what's called the hinge method. You're going to divide it in half with your tape like this, and then you're just going to come up, peel the decal back to your tape, and if you can, you're just going to tear the decal off like that, and then take a real simple squeegee So for now, I'm going to leave the protective tape on this because I'm going to need to drill some holes in this for the speakers. Now, I'm going to place a control knob right here and maybe 2 speakers directly above that. Now, I'm going to use this kit that Northern sent me from their Rockler dealership, and according to its instructions, the speaker holes need to be 2 3/4, and the control panel, that hole needs to be 1 7/8. I was able to find a Banner Red in Croylon to match the can paint. This made it so much easier to work with. Oh yeah. I like that. Now, I'm going to use the Rockler Bluetooth speaker system that Northern Tool and Equipment sent me. This system is so easy to use. If you cut the holes to the proper size that it gives you, everything just pops inside and aligns so easily. And hooking up the system is even easier. It has a white, a red, and a blue wire that are color coordinated. You just plug them in. I also designed a cover that I will put on it and just set some simple screws down in, so if for some reason I ever need to get to it or service it, I can do that. Now I'm going to connect the piano hinge, and lining that up with the outside edge of it, I'll set the screws in, and they are set several at 1.5 inches. Now I'm going to bend a piece of diamond plate aluminum. This is going to help make a nice drip edge above the door I'm installing. Installing the door, I'll use a clamp to hold it down. I will then install 3 basic top, middle, and bottom screws before installing all the screws. I'll add a magnetic catch to help close the door, and then a simple handle on the beveled edge. This actually gives it the feel of a refrigerator and has a good solid catch to it. I like this. I'm going to start putting together the pump handle, so I'm just going to use a bunch of scrap PVC connectors I have floating around. So let's just play with this and kind of see how it works. That to there. I'm going to now take this outside and spray it silver. While I'm going to let the gas pump and some of those parts that I built start to dry, I'm going to start on the acrylic. This is 2 sheets of 1/8 inch white acrylic, and I am going to cut these out to fit into the globe that's going to sit on top. After I cut those out, I'm going to use the paper that is on the backing of this to actually cut the Flying T Service logo, which I printed a copy of that. I'm going to to give it a light dust of a spray adhesive, set it on top, and cut it out with an X-Acto knife. So let's start on that. You know, on a side note, when I started looking for the logo to use on my gas pump, I came across one called the Flying A Service. And I thought, that's pretty cool because, well, my wife Teresa is a flight attendant, and a lot of her friends call her T. So I took the A and I changed it to a T, creating the Flying T. Now you can use any logo you want. You could create your own or pull one of these great ones from Google Images. Love you, babe. Cutting it. I'm now going to install a industrial looking on-off switch on the side of this that when you kick it on, it'll turn the globe on. But also I decided I'm going to add a power outlet to the outside. So if I want to use a leak blower to blow out the deck or plug in any other utility, I'm going to cut a hole right here. I'm not real happy with that bulb, so I've ordered a 12-inch tall one. It'll make a difference. You know, as I'm wrapping up this project and finishing up all the final little details of installing the pump handle and just thinking about how much I have enjoyed building this project. I love nostalgia. I love vintage things. And, I really hope you'll take on something like this. This has been so much fun for me, and I'm building memories. I'm building something that I will enjoy for years to come. I hope you'll consider doing this too. I'm really excited the way this cabinet turned out. Everything turned out fun. It was a fun project. I want to thank Northern Tool and Equipment for supplying the tools to build this, along with the Rockler Bluetooth stereo system that worked out absolutely perfect. The cabinet holds all of my grilling tools, my propane bottle, any condiments or anything you want to add to it. This has been a fun project, and I hope you'll consider trying it. If you like this video, you want to check out some of these others, please do so, and in the meantime, I'll see you soon.